morning, BBs. It's too early.
It sure is.
Welcome to the first, best, and only morning show in existence. I'm Anthony Carboni.
And I'm Saige Ryan.
Yeah, you are.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, somebody in the chat, just as we were starting, said, would you rather, this was from Cheyenne is Trying in a live studio audience, said, would y'all rather take on 20 dagger-sized Anthonys or one Anthony-sized dagger? Personally, I would rather take on one Anthony-sized Anthony than one dagger-sized dagger.
Yeah.
Like, as is.
Dagger's not as sleepy a guy as I am.
Yeah, no, I'd rather fight you than Dagger.
Dagger, like, it's very rare that Dagger's in a mood, but when he is, oh, you don't want to see Dagger during one of his dark moods.
He's never that way with me.
But here's the question that I have for you, BBs. Mm-hmm. Would you rather plans or painting business?
If you don't know the answer, patreon.com/pixelcircus, where we lost our fucking mind for 16 straight minutes. Yes, 2 days ago.
2 days ago.
Today, we got news to talk about. We're talking about lots of things that are going on. I don't know about news. We've got things. MatPat is retiring.
Oh, okay. I only read half the headline, and I assumed he was dead.
Oh, well, hey, good news.
So this is great.
Yeah. It's game theory. I want to talk about some of the Cars stuff that got announced at CES. I love CES. CES is my maybe favorite time of year. And there's been a lot of fun stuff that's been coming out. But there's a lot of stuff, like fun stuff that's been all over your feed.
Yeah.
And we're not like a tech reporting show. We're just not. So instead, I want to talk about some bullshit, some weird shit.
I spent too many years at CES, and I'm just like, meh.
I've never gotten to go. And I'm putting this out there to any company that may be watching this show before we say something that makes them not want to work with us. Mm-hmm. If you want to send me to CES, please do.
Yeah.
Please just once.
I'll go
and then
back.
I can be in the same place as Anthony where I don't want to go anymore.
I'll go back.
But I got to go once. It was the same way I was with, like, I never got to go to E3.
No.
I never got to go to an E3.
And you never will.
I know. I got invited to some like CES after parties and I was like, I can't go to Vegas, just go to after. I also hate Las Vegas, but I'll do it for CES once. I've been wanting to go to CES since I started watching iJustine in like 2007.
Do you know that she died?
No, that's not funny.
She retired.
No, she didn't. She didn't do either of those things.
She went to lunch.
Oh, probably.
Okay. Also, we've got big Hollywood news, including the Mando and Grogu movie, and some other stuff, some casting news. That's
some casting news, some HBO making questionable decisions we hate news.
Not HBO.
What?
Not Davey Z.
Yeah.
Davey Z would never do that to us. He's
Not
cool.
The Zaz.
Not the Zaz.
Not the Zaz. The Zaz would never.
Oh, the Zaz with the pizzazz.
The Zaz with the pizzazz loves you.
He loves you. He loves content. He loves entertainment. He loves creatives more than anything.
Yeah. And thinks that women can be those.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely believes it with all of his chest cavity. Hey, do you know what else is big news? Welcome back, Josh.
Josh is back.
Hello, babies. It's good. I'm back. I won't leave again. It's okay.
Okay.
I'm here forever. Until later. But for now,
forever. For another 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Week and a half?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I get to see Alex in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Everybody gets to see Alex in about 2 weeks.
That's right.
I love you, Alex. Come back.
We're not formally announcing Alex's return date, but approximately 2 weeks or less. Sometime in there.
Look, this show is a well-oiled, well-scheduled machine. Mm-hmm. Do we know what day anything is going to happen? Shut up.
Why would you ask that?
Shut up. That's so rude of you.
Weird of you to ask that. Oh my
you
God.
never ask a lady her production schedule.
Oh my God.
That is so rude. And you don't talk about politics or production schedules at the dinner table.
It's very impolite of you. Wish you hadn't done that.
Gross.
Anyways, Anthony.
Saige.
How was your day yesterday?
It was pretty good. I ran into you in the middle of the day randomly.
Yeah.
Or was that Monday?
That was Monday. It's okay.
That was Monday. What did I do yesterday?
That was still since the show, so it's okay.
Yeah, as far as you know. Listen, what day did anything happen? What did we just say about that?
I went to a coffee shop by the studio and ran into you and another one of our friends there. Mm-hmm. We were having a real small town vibes day.
Well, it's because everything is closing down because of the horrible artificial forced economy and forced real estate bubble in Los Angeles.
Yeah, so everybody's just crowding into less and less spaces. Understood. That's why there were no tables available. That makes sense. All the other coffee shops closed down.
What's going on in your town, but I'll tell you what's going on in our town is everything is fucking closing.
Yeah.
It's wild.
You know what else is going on in our town?
What?
The most ridiculous apartment hunting I've maybe ever experienced in my life. And I have moved every year since I got to Los Angeles.
That might be related.
What?
What?
I keep going to apartment viewings and people are putting inaccurate things on listings. They're just lying.
No.
And now we know that happens with like scams, but like big companies that have apartments listed, I think they're just getting so lazy because they just own so much property.
Yeah.
They're just copy and pasting shit.
Yeah.
I went to one, it said washer and dryer and unit, stainless steel appliances, 1,000 square feet. I walk in, 500 square feet, no stainless steel appliances. In fact, not appliances mostly at all, no washer and dryer.
In fact, she got there and she said, "Where's the apartment for list?" And somebody said, "There hasn't been an apartment here in 20 years." And then the lady and the building disappeared.
Whoa. No, then I looked at the real estate agent and I was like, "Hey, I have some questions." She was like, "Oh, I'm going to step outside. Let me know if you have any questions." And I was like, "Cool, I have questions about the place." And she goes, "I don't know. I've never been here." You own so many properties. You have people who have never even seen them showing them.
How exciting.
Has never been here.
How exciting to own so many properties.
And then I go to another one and I'm like, "Oh, this could work. This could be a good apartment." Okay. I like most of the things about this. It's $1 billion, but you know, that's how much apartments cost now. And then I walk out and the guy is like, "Yeah, Saige, what a cool name. I love the way you, whoa, like with an I, whoa." And I was like, "Okay, cool."
You're like, "Okay,
that's enough.
That's
That's enough." And that's
fun.
fine.
Yeah.
And that would be fine.
That's fine.
And then he was like, "Cool,
you get
text
that a lot.
Cool, text me and I'll send you the application," which is like pretty standard. A lot of this is over text and whatever. And I text him from my car and I'm like, "Hey, quick question about the AC." He answers my question about the AC. And the problem is the order of this. He answers the question about the AC and then goes, "Hey, it was really nice meeting you, by the way." And I was like, I'm going to ignore that and keep talking about the AC. And he goes, "And I love your name."
Nope. You don't, no. Once, you can say once, "What an interesting name," because it's true. You have an interesting name. It's fine. You can say it once. Like, "What a cool name."
Yep.
Don't.
And I was like, "Oh no, I'm out." And he had tried a couple times to do like I'm not like other landlords. I'm kind of a cool landlord, you know?
Yeah.
Like I don't charge you for the storage box that's above the parking spot. Oh.
Wow.
Whoa. But he also was fighting with a tenant when I got there.
Yeah, of course.
Was upstairs fighting with a tenant and then
Sure.
came down and was like, "Sorry, that guy got me really heated." And I was like,
Whoa. Well, you shouldn't. You
Don't
shouldn't
tell
get
me
really
that.
heated. First
it's
time
been bad out
chat
there.
from Gruesome Gary saying living in Los Angeles isn't worth it. The city stinks. Gruesome Gary, that's an opinion and not a fact.
I actually love Los Angeles.
This
and I'm
is
very
actually
happy
a
here.
really great
And
place.
also a thing that's happening everywhere.
Yeah, it's
The cost of living is actually a problem. You could say America sucks. We'd come with you on that.
we might be talking about it in terms of LA because that's where we
live.
are. But it's not any different in any other city anywhere.
It's bad everywhere. The cost of living is actually a problem. And not a Los Angeles problem.
Nope. Do you know
No.
what? Do you know what I actually did yesterday? Absolutely nothing interesting. I just thought about it. I was going to tell this story, and I was like, "God, who cares, man?" You know, you ever have that in your head where you're like, "Yeah, this is kind of an interesting thing that happened to me," and then you're like, "No, this is personally interesting. This is interesting, maybe to me and my friends."
Well, I mean, give us a TLDR.
No, there's nothing to TLDR. It's so boring. It's about notebooks and organization and stuff.
It's kind of neat.
Yeah, for you and me to talk about later.
Okay.
You know what I mean? What I mean to say is yesterday I attended Hollywood premieres and did exciting things.
Yep.
Let me tell you all about them.
Ooh, boy.
Ooh, boy.
Well, then let's talk about what's going on out there. If not much going on in here.
Yeah. Thank you, Flannel Fries and live studio audience for saying we would love to hear about stationery.
Yeah, Anthony brought me little stationery supplies.
I bring you
today.
little stationery supplies.
Very nice of him.
We've got a lot of news.
We
and,
do.
Well, let's start with the first one here because this has got people rattled. They're shook. People are freaking out about this.
Yeah.
They don't understand. Mom and dad are leaving them. YouTubers are retiring.
YouTubers are retiring at a seemingly alarming rate. Now, I don't know if that's true that it's alarming.
Is it an alarming rate, or are people at certain age groups in certain points of their life at certain stages of their career likely to make similar decisions.
So in that, MatPat is retiring, also known as Game Theory. So the game theorist himself is passing the torch. So there are 4 different theory channels.
Yeah.
There's
Game theory, food theory, movie theory,
and fashion theory.
and then they had a 5th one, which was JFK theory.
Yeah.
And
Kind of ran out of content on that.
not only did they run out of content, but I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Got a little weird.
Yeah. I mean, look, when you're trying to fill in a lot of videos, you're trying to fill in a weekly video.
Yeah.
Some stuff's going to come up that is a little bit of a reach. But hey, it's just theory. See what I did there?
I do.
Yeah.
But no, MatPat is at the ripe old age of 37 has decided it's time to move into the assisted living home.
Yep.
He's had a good life,
Yeah.
a good long life, and now it's time for him to enjoy his golden years.
Yeah. So he made a 25-minute video saying goodbye. It is not his last video. He's doing like 9 more weeks of videos, going out with a bang, and then announced who would be taking over. And it was people who were already working on the channel.
Yeah.
I'm not somebody who is super familiar with the rest of his cast, and
Yeah.
like I don't keep up with game theory
No.
videos. So this is more of a question for fans of game theory. How do you feel about the transition? I'd be very curious to hear, how you feel about the other people, and like,
Yeah.
are you excited to see them take over? Do you feel like, I mean, the passing of torches of YouTube channels is new, but it happens in every other industry. You doing okay, bud?
Yeah, I'm just figuring out how humans sit.
So like passing of the torch of like show hosts is completely normal, and game theory is a show. So like in the traditional Hollywood context, or like in traditional media context, this happens,
It does.
You pass
It's-
on The Price is Right.
It is a big deal when it happens.
It's a big deal when it happens,
but
but
a new person takes over the Tonight Show,
Exactly.
something like that.
it also hasn't really been a thing we've seen on YouTube.
No.
When YouTubers retire, their channel goes with them. So I think that we're going to see more of this.
Well, I think we absolutely are, because early YouTube, people didn't necessarily know that it was going to turn into a thing.
Yeah.
And early YouTube channels, people were just like, hi, this is who I am. This is my channel.
Yeah.
We're seeing the first wave of like branded channels retirements, MatPat doesn't have the MatPat channel. He has Game Theory.
Right.
And he's been very smart about, as the channel's grown and as the workload has grown, like you said, bringing on other people, making them recognizable, thinking ahead to what's going to happen to this channel, this idea, this concept, once he doesn't want to do what he is used to doing anymore.
Yeah, so there's 18 million subscribers on this channel. When you're done, you don't want to see it go. And with most people who are in this position who are continuing their channel afterwards, he said he's essentially just pulling behind the scenes. He doesn't want to host anymore. He runs the business and he has other parts of the team. And he immediately announced like 5 extra things. It's like, we're doing a video game and an animated series and like all of this stuff that he would just rather be doing than hosting the show.
Yeah, that makes sense. On the flip side, when you talk about YouTuber retirements that were just announced, Tom Scott, whose brand is Tom Scott,
Yep.
who never changed, who never changed the name of his channel to like things you may not know or whatever. Tom Scott is also pulling back and retiring. He's been doing it for over 10 years. And he said,
All done.
all done.
Bye-bye.
And, Tom's videos are very,
You can show my screen, Josh, for context of who we're talking about.
that's Seth.
Oh, there we go. I don't know who Tom Scott is, I'm going to be honest.
Tom
there we go.
Scott-
They clicked on the wrong one. I have Tom Scott's video in here somewhere.
Okay.
Never mind. Don't show my screen. I've got a bunch of other people.
All right. Yeah, Tom Scott does a lot of like big science videos and big like Earth explaining videos.
There's his videos.
A bunch of stuff like that. He's great, but
Yeah.
his videos are very, when you think
There's
about
what I was looking for.
when you think about MatPat videos and game
Yeah.
theory videos, those are videos that are well made on
Mm-hmm.
a post-production side, right? They're edited well, they're cut together well.
Yeah.
But the majority of the work on those is writing and voiceover, which I'm not saying is not a lot of work,
No,
because
it's a
it
ton of
is.
work.
But Tom Scott's videos are like, I traveled to the world's only crooked elevator and talked to all of the engineers and architects that made it, like all of this crazy wild stuff. And he was like, I've been like, go, 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 go.
Yeah.
Doing all these things for like the last 10 years. He's like, I got to slow down.
Yeah.
Which is totally fine.
So There is a flood of YouTube retirements that are here. We have Seth Everman with 4.2 million subscribers. We have Captain Sparkles.
Seth Etherman, you may know as Bald Man with keyboard.
Yeah, sure.
Who does a lot of really funny covers and things like that.
Yeah. Captain Sparkles, 13 years in.
Early Minecraft guy.
11.4 million subscribers, is retiring.
You know, it's funny because when you show him and you show him and you talk about how he's like one of the biggest Minecraft YouTubers, you look at it and you go, I understand why this guy doesn't want to do Minecraft content anymore.
Yeah.
This is a grown ass man.
Yeah.
This is a man who's in his who's clearly like in his 40s, late 30s, early 40s, and it's just like, I can't make Minecraft videos anymore, guys.
Maybe I don't want to be called Captain Sparkles anymore.
Yeah, I gotta go. I gotta
I'm
go,
all
guys. I gotta take off.
Another huge Minecraft YouTuber, Stampy Longhead, is also retiring. All of this is in the last month or two.
Yeah, and then another
and
big one for me is Meat Canyon.
Yeah, animator.
Meat Canyon does a lot of really topical and really well animated animation, like cartoons.
Yeah.
His sense of humor is very extreme gross out sometimes. So it's not for everyone, but he is a huge channel and they put out cartoons.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot of work.
Regularly, and something will happen in pop culture, like something extremely topical, and 2 days later, Meat Canyon has a cartoon, and I'm just like, that's not a level of work people can keep up with.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, once you're an animator and you have a few million views, I'm sure he's entertaining TV offers.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where you want to go anyway.
Maybe. Some people do, some people don't. We've
Yeah.
also seen a lot of YouTubers try to cross over to television and it only be worse. Lily Singh.
I think for animation, though, because it requires such a large team,
Yeah.
usually a television structure and amount of money is where it starts getting comfortable.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a different case for all of these people, but the not the completionist, my goodness. The Game Theorist is a very interesting kind of thing on this, in that you've built something that can be passed off because it's not your name. You've built multiple channels that are already mostly, performed by other people. And I'm curious to see where this goes. I'm curious to see can a transition be made? Can people adopt that kind of new person for it?
Well, it's mostly going to be in terms of change. If you really think about a channel like Game Theory or a network like the Theorists network, the change is mostly perceptual, and it's mostly in terms of branding and marketing. I would imagine that for a very long time, even though he is the head of the network and his hands are, he touches everything that comes out of there.
Yeah.
I would imagine that he, doesn't write every video he does VO for.
No, definitely not. And he said
probably
that.
does. He probably doesn't QC and watch over
In fact,
every edit.
he actually said the person who's taking over has been writing most of the videos for some time.
See, that makes a lot of sense.
So yeah, it
So-
feels like a good choice. Then you're in good hands.
And the only thing that you have to deal with is the people that are just like, but I grew up with MatPat.
Right.
But MatPat's the voice that I recognize. MatPat's the reason that I come here. And it's like, the trick with YouTube, which has always been tough, is when a medium is so personality based. Somebody in the live studio audience said it too. People associate, no matter what you call a YouTube channel, people associate that channel with the person.
Yeah.
And so it's very, very hard to keep your audience, build your audience, and let your audience know along the way that you're not the person who's doing everything.
Yeah.
In a way that's like, it's okay. It's still me. You don't have to feel like I've lied to you, or because you have a very young audience in a lot of cases.
Oh yeah. I mean, here's the thing. The majority of the views that the Game Theorist channel has gotten in the last 10 years have been about Five Nights at Freddy's. They are known for their FNAF lore and FNAF videos. So that's a very young audience.
Yeah, for sure. And a very, let's just do the internet code word and call it passionate audience.
Yeah.
We'll call it passionate.
Yeah. The FNAF crowd's intense.
And so when you say that the guy who is the voice of the videos that you love,
they don't understand.
They're like,
they're pretty upset.
Yeah.
So there's a point in the video. I watched the whole 25-minute video. And there's a point in the video where he starts this analogy of being their grandfather, and that he's like, your grandfather still loves you even when he has to go live in the home, and is crying about how and your grandfather's really proud of you. even if he doesn't get to see you all the time.
That's weird.
Now, there's a moment in there that made me a little like,
That's weird.
what are we doing here, bud? Because like the analogy is funny if you make it funny, and if you take it too seriously, then it's very weird.
Yeah.
So if you say it while you're crying,
No. Yeah.
and like, hey, no shame on anybody for crying.
No.
Absolutely not the problem at hand. Not that there's a problem. It just weirded me out a little bit that like, and he kept like looking into camera, dead into camera, tears in his eyes, like, and your grandfather, even if he doesn't see you, even if he doesn't get to see you all the time and you don't get to see him all the time.
It's tricky
Loves
because it's funny. You have what we see is people who are expressing genuine feelings that they have, but they have to express them through things that are pre-written,
Yeah.
or things that they write to that are like, I think this is the way I'm feeling. And you know, it's not like with a personal statement like that, it's not like you're talking to MatPat, who is trained actor, thespian, or you know, somebody who's written novels and things like that. So when he's trying to put his real feelings into this thing,
It was struggling. It was struggling.
it can feel rehearsed. And
Yeah.
like, that's one of those things is that I've noticed, particularly about YouTube audiences, is like things that people can pick up on, or things that you can do on camera that can feel disingenuous to a segment of people.
Yeah.
It's always like, you never know. Like, you never know.
And I want the people in chat to do their best to not work so hard to misunderstand what we're saying.
Yeah.
We're not saying it's weird that he's emotional about it.
No.
So like, do your best to you know, hear what we're actually saying instead. And that analogy choice made me a little uncomfortable. I thought it was an odd analogy choice.
Yeah.
And I even said specifically, it's not strange of him to be crying. It's not strange of him to be emotional about it. So, you know,
Yeah.
none of that. Ease up, everybody.
Yeah. It's tough. It's difficult anytime you have to. I mean, it's a goodbye. All of these are goodbyes, and they are filled, I'm sure, with a lot of complicated feelings.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you don't step back from something. Let's be honest. You don't step back from something because you love it and it's perfect and it still fits wonderfully into your life.
Yeah.
There's a reason.
You needed
There are
this.
reasons. You needed it for some reason.
Exactly.
There's some sort of conflict. And especially when something takes up such a huge portion of your life,
Yeah.
it's tough to put that into words.
I do want to read the sentiment of somebody who actually consumes his content. So Skywalker said, I'm happy that Matthew is recognizing his limits and choosing to move on and let the other dozens of people who have worked with him continue the channels, and said that seeing other people come in and take over and update the videos has been actually very refreshing.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it's what it needs, right? Sometimes a channel's been going for so long and you get somebody new in there.
Yeah.
Or any project has been going for a long time. You get somebody new in, and all of a sudden there's this different energy again.
Yeah,
There's
it's
this
good.
different creative, you know. And a lot of these people, like a lot of these YouTubers, you know, you look at Seth, or you look at Captain Sparkles.
Yeah.
These are people who work isolated in a room. You know, that in itself is draining, but also that in, you know,
Yeah.
bringing somebody new in to just bounce ideas off of when you do things in
huge.
such a solitary way.
Absolutely. Spirit of the Stairwell says people shouldn't have to wait until 65 to retire. He's very lucky. I will say he's not actually retiring.
He's retiring from hosting. He's retiring from being the face of.
And then announced that they're doing a cartoon and a video game and another series and another series. So it just won't be his like voice in the video, and he won't be like day to day in the videos anymore, writing the videos, recording the videos, stuff like that. It seems like he is stepping back to run the business. So like he gets to not be in the videos and then control the company and continue to make money.
And sometimes people
From the
like
thingy
that. Sometimes people like that are still in every day. Sometimes people like that have a qualified team that they hand most of the things off to.
You know, it does sound like for him, he said it's freeing up a lot of time. He does have a kid and was like, this is going to allow me to go and focus on that. And that's great.
Yeah.
So best of luck to MatPat and to all of the BBs who also have really enjoyed the videos.
Yeah.
What a time.
I'm sure it's very interesting. You know, a lot of people in the live studio audience here are saying it's weird because it's so many of these YouTube channels were so defining. These are presences that have been in people's lives for over a decade.
Yeah.
You know, and when you're somebody who's in your 20s and somebody's been in your life for over a decade, that's a long time. That's half your life.
Yeah.
And so it is weird to see, like, even if you weren't a regular fan of Seth, every once in a while a Seth video would just pop off, like some of his like Wii Music videos or whatever would just like pop off and you'd be like, well, that guy's not going to pop up anymore.
Yeah.
That guy's, so I'm sure it's like it's a pretty intense time for the audience as well.
Yeah.
Big changes.
Big changes.
We're also getting a lot of people in the live studio audience saying, I've only heard of one of these people, or I've only heard of I haven't heard of any of these people. And look, man, the fragmenting of societal attention is real.
The spread of attention. Somebody can have 18 million subscribers and you've never heard of them.
There's no more everybody sits down on Thursday night to watch Friends and Seinfeld.
Nope.
That was the last time things were like that.
No, Game of Thrones was.
Game of Thrones. Well, Game of Thrones
was the last one.
But Game of Thrones was the last one, but it was also unique in that it was the first one in a while.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Like, it just doesn't happen
before
anymore.
that it was like Breaking Bad, maybe. Maybe. I know that was like an experience for me, but yeah. I mean, sitting down on Sundays to watch Game of Thrones was a moment.
But that doesn't really happen.
No.
And there was this thing in the there's this article in the Atlantic that was like, yo, the most popular show on Netflix this year, literally anybody I talk to hasn't heard of it.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean it's not popular.
Yeah.
It just means like nothing is popular to everyone anymore. Maybe a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
Or a Barbie. You know what I mean? It has to be $1 billion movie now for it to be a thing that everyone's heard of.
Barbie did it. It has to be a Star Wars. It has to be a Marvel, something of the sort. But hey, you know, since we're talking about Star Wars.
Yeah.
Since we're talking about things that probably everyone will watch at the same time, we have officially an announcement for The Mandalorian and Grogu.
That's right. It's happening. I mean, we knew this was happening. We knew Mando was getting a movie.
Yeah.
But now we know that it's going into production this year, and we have officially the top level creative team. Jon Favreau will be directing, which is not surprising to me. But there were any number of people it could have been. You know, some people were wondering if it was going to be Dave Filoni,
right?
Some people were wondering like if it would be somebody like a Deborah Chow or a Rick Famuyiwa who have done excellent. Bryce Dallas Howard.
There's so many people that have put so much work into The Mandalorian and building a show that we love that like we had a big group of great options.
Yeah.
You know, of people that we would trust with it, which is cool.
Yeah, because I think out of all of those names, like if you're really thinking about doing what you hope is going to be $1 billion movie, when you're looking at that. All of those directors are amazing. All of those directors have made amazing films. But like, Jon Favreau is such an ace in the hole for that sort of thing.
Yeah.
All he does is make $1 billion movies quickly and easily.
Yep.
Like that's his vibe, man.
Yeah.
And
he knows this one.
And he co-created this.
Exactly.
This is his baby. The child is his
The babe.
baby. But producing will be Favreau, Kathleen Kennedy, and Dave Filoni in his first producing role as chief creative officer of Lucasfilm. So that's exciting.
It's going to be good.
I think it's going to be very good.
I think it's going to be really good.
Now, I do believe this is different than the Mandoverse movie, which we know is still coming from Dave Filoni, which is going to be the whole everybody together.
Interesting. I thought this was the Mandoverse movie was like, well, we're getting a Mandalorian movie and this would be it.
No, I think Dave still has his movie coming. Interesting. So what we've got on deck right now for Star Wars is we've got Mandalorian and Grogu going into production.
Yeah.
We also got an announcement of Ahsoka Season 2 getting picked up, and it will be going into production, though a little bit later.
Yep.
And then this year, we have Skeleton Crew and The Acolyte coming out.
Supposedly.
You never can tell. Listen,
you never can tell.
Some these things all take place a long, long time ago
in a
and very
galaxy
far, far away. So who knows what time is like?
Yeah.
But that's what we're supposed to have.
The Mandoverse movie, would that be like in like the same I don't know, I guess word I would call like series as this Mando movie? Would that be like the second Mando movie is the Mandoverse movie? I hope they're not just like two totally separate movies. I hope it is like we're doing a Mandalorian and Grogu, and the sequel to the Mandalorian and Grogu movie is the Mandoverse movie.
Well, here's what I think it's going to be. It will be like a sequel to that, but it will also have to take into account all the Disney Plus stuff that happens in between it.
Yes.
But it will be, it'll be that era.
They both have to take that into account.
It'll be all that era. Yeah, but what I'm saying is like
the in between.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am currently a little like, whoa, that's a lot of Mandalorian. We got the show.
Yeah.
2 movies. That's a lot of Mandalorian. I don't know.
I think this movie.
I'm excited for this first movie.
This movie is taking place of the season that would be in production right now. So I think by getting this movie, we're going to get less TV Mandalorian over the next couple years, which I think is okay.
Yeah.
Because we'll still get Ahsoka. They've got enough Star Wars coming.
Andor season 2.
Andor. I'm very, very excited for the Acolyte.
Yeah.
And I'm insanely excited for Skeleton Crew.
Yeah.
So I think all this sounds really, really good.
Yeah. I'm super excited for it. I hope to finish this movie and be like, fuck yeah, I want another one. You know?
Yeah.
You won't know until you see it. But that'd be cool.
I've been very... for those of you that know, that watch when we do our recaps over at Kind of Funny with everybody, I am exceptionally positive on Mando.
Yeah.
Even during times when some people are like, these last couple episodes, I don't know.
Yeah.
I've been extremely up on Mando.
I love Mando. I always have a great time with it. It's not my favorite Star Wars.
Yeah. But I always leave, going back to your statement, I always leave it going, fuck yeah, I'll want more.
Yeah. Mando is one of those things where like it's such a good show. I enjoy it, but in characteristics of Mando, it's not like my favorite parts of Star Wars.
No.
A lot of the time, everybody who engages with Star Wars, especially now that the Star Wars universe is so big in like the media universe, not the fictional universe, in the same way that you're like, oh, I like this type of a superhero movie. It doesn't mean that you like all Marvel movies, but you're like, you have a genre within it. Star Wars has a bit of that too. So like for me, Andor was like the boiled down of my favorite parts of Star Wars because I am somebody who enjoys the like political revolutionary Star Wars. That's my favorite parts of all Star Wars media.
Yeah, I think Andor is my favorite thing to come out of Star Wars. Gosh, and I don't know how many years. It's my favorite Star Wars thing.
Yeah. It is up there with my favorite Star Wars movie. It's Empire and it's Andor, and like they're sitting up there together in 2 things that I really, really love in very different ways. So with that, I agree with Mando, but again, I'm not like Mando is not the setting and like the people and the type of stories and storytelling that I'm always the most excited for with Star Wars. And then I watch it and I have a great time.
Yeah, Mando is the most distilled down. If Andor is the distilled down social and political intrigue, Mando is the space western.
Yeah.
Mando is the space serial, the Republic serial of the Star Wars universe. It's that part of what George loved and brought to Star Wars. But this is all good. It means that this is going to be a very strong year for Star Wars, I think.
Yeah. Spirit of the Stairwell said re-elect Senator Mothra. Couldn't agree more. I think they mean Mothma, but that's okay. And I thought it was kind of silly.
No, I think they got
I'm
it.
not making fun of you for it. I really mean Mothra, like the kaiju.
Yeah. Re-elect Senator Mothra.
She's kind of a bad bitch.
In other big production news, TV news, Our Flag Means Death.
Now this one is in the exact opposite direction.
Our Flag Means Death has been canceled by HBO Max after 2 seasons. There will be no season 3.
Now, we had a feeling. It's been a while. There was definitely our suspicions that Our Flag Means Death would be ending after the 2nd season.
Well, especially
because of the state of Max.
Yeah, well, it's the state of Max for sure. But it's also, that 2nd season came because of very passionate, and I don't mean passionate in the internet.
Not in the FNAF way.
Not in the FNAF way. I mean passionate in that, like, in that classic, please don't take this away, we love this fan outpouring and fan outcry is really what made, it wasn't numbers that made Our Flag Means Death a hit that came back. It was an engaged audience that made it come back.
Oh, absolutely. An incredibly passionate audience, an underserved audience. It's a beautiful and brilliant show. If you haven't seen it, I hate to say when it's canceled, go and watch it. But that's 2 brilliant seasons of television that are absolutely phenomenal, that are hilarious and heartwarming and well made and like just fucking unexpected constantly.
Using pirates and so much actual history of pirates as a metaphor for being yourself in society and being comfortable and finding who you are and finding the people who accept you for who you are in society, I think was just it was so clever and so wonderful, and it resonated so much with people.
It was. Blade of Creation has a take, which is, what if we made murderers from history cute and fluffy? Sure was a premise for a show. I don't think that anybody watched Our Flag Means Death and went, yeah, this is what pirates were like.
Yeah.
Wow. I wish I was on that pirate ship when they were all being fluffy and cute. That's not.
Also, like, it's not like they did a show where the Unabomber and Ted Bundy were roommates that own a coffee shop.
Yeah, it's not a buddy comedy of the Unabomber and Ted Bundy.
Yeah, not a lot of people were like super familiar with Stede Bonnet before the show. You know what I mean? And these are people from hundreds of years ago.
People aren't like, damn, I'm so glad I know the truth about Blackbeard now.
Yeah, like
Blackbeard the pirate.
There has been plenty of stuff where historical figures are presented as silly characters. I don't think that's a new thing that Our Flag
We've been doing that.
Yeah.
We've been doing that. And instead, we can look at the representation of this incredibly queer show that also did bring something that was deeply erased from history and took it and was like, we're going to make a comedy about this. But also, like, it is incredibly significant to talk about queer history. And especially when we talk about, like, the history of pirates, it's something that like the queer community has attached to for a reason.
Yeah.
Like there is a reason that pirates are beloved, and don't we know it
and that's
personally that pirates are beloved by the queer community. It matters and it's important. And it isn't like, think about social impact if you're going to be angry, and think about, did this have a negative social impact? Are people gonna go become pirates now?
Yeah.
You know, when we look at the Joker and we're like, are people gonna become incels? Maybe. Are people going to start sailing the seas and pillaging because they watched a fictional version of 2 dudes smooching on a pirate ship?
Well, and the other thing is this is not like a ripped from the headlines thing where they're taking the lives of people who are alive, who are walking around right now, who have to deal with the consequences of how their character is portrayed. Yeah. Like, it's not like when you watch a show that's about a real person and then that real person is like, they made me look horrible and now people hate me.
Yeah, or recently deceased people when we had that like terrible blonde about Marilyn Monroe.
But Stede Bonnet's fine.
Stede Bonnet's okay.
Stede Bonnet's okay. You know what I mean? And if you're thinking about, historical stuff, there's always been, you think about literally any comedy that's set in any other time period than our own.
Yeah. So if you hate all pirate media because pirates were bad, then also, no Westerns whatsoever, right?
Yeah.
No cowboys, no Westerns, no political. If we're talking about like people being murderers, right?
Right.
So no Westerns, no political. Pretty much nothing historical, nothing about royal families. What else you got?
Oh, I mean, if you're thinking just about comedies, you've got Mel Brooks, you've got History of the World.
Yeah.
You've got, in terms of like buddy comedies, you've got things like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, like classic Oscar-winning things.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay. It's all right to portray these characters this way, especially because what's interesting is not the things that they went silly with or the things that they made up. The interesting thing about it is when you dig into it, how much stuff is true.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, how much stuff is historically accurate, actually.
And I realized, Anthony, we have a pirate in the studio. Hey, Josh, what's your take?
I love that show so much.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's so good. And I see a lot of people in chat saying historically pirates were gay. Pirates historically were hella gay. It's just, you're out there on a boat with a bunch of guys forever. You form some good bonds. You form some attachments, and I think
right.
piracy as a whole, because you guys were talking about westerns too. It's just become such a romanticized piece of our history. That, yeah, there was a lot of bad things that pirates did, but as a whole,
Oh, name one.
nah, whatever. I think, but as a whole, it's just like that freedom that they experience on the ship away from society is such a fun, interesting way to tell a story.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's just that whole sense of adventure that I don't think people are romanticizing piracy. They're romanticizing the adventure side of piracy.
Yep.
That
Yeah.
lends itself freedom from the stereotypical confines of society.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's why when you think about all the
you, Josh.
famous pirate media, it is pirates on adventures. It's not so much the thievery. And when they talk about the thievery, it's like, look at that big stupid government ship with that big stupid government money.
We
and
hate
this
the government.
one is about pirates exploring gender identity and kissing.
Yeah.
So, a little insight from our personal pirate.
I think it's I'm going to read the some of the statement here from David Jenkins, the creator of Our Flag Means Death.
Okay.
He put this on Instagram. This is how the news got broken. He's like, well, I've got good news and bad. The good news, we've spent 2 seasons in a bizarre, beautifully rendered world populated by some of the greatest actors and creatives working. And the second season was made possible by the enthusiasm of one of the most likable fan communities in the history of this medium. Your voices made a difference. Your art made a difference. Your viewership made a difference in securing more Our Flag. Getting to share this show with you and watching you make it yours has been a dream come true.
Aww.
And then, of course, the bad news is he talked about the cancellation.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hate to spoil the ending there.
Yeah. No, we get it. Yeah, that's enough of that. We get it.
So that's a bummer. But, such is the way with HBO.
Yeah.
HBO can only have 2 shows at a time. And, of course, one of them right now is The Last of Us.
Yeah, and we just got some huge casting news for The Last of Us Season 2. A character that is incredibly important to the second season of The Last of Us.
And universally loved.
We have the casting of Abby, which is Caitlin Dever.
I think this is perfect casting when you
looks just like
she
her.
looks just like her.
I used to audition with this girl.
Yeah.
Because we're about the same age. I used to see this girl all the time, and it's so funny. Yeah, that's like it looks almost like she was the face model for Abby.
It really does.
Yeah, there were people posting that they hope she gets buff because Abby is buff as hell.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
I listen.
I love when women get buff.
I wish everyone who wants to be buff
to be buff.
a very buff.
Yeah.
I wish all of you that. I think this is cool. One of the things that immediately popped up in addition to everybody saying, oh my God, she looks perfect. I didn't see backlash. What I saw was people being concerned about backlash for her, not because of her, but
because of how Abby was received. Yeah.
Yeah, because of the character. One of the things that popped out immediately after the casting news was a statement from Laura Bailey saying, this is wonderful.
Yeah.
She's going to be perfect.
Yeah.
And I am sure that behind the scenes, Caitlin and Laura have had a phone call.
Oh,
and Laura's like, here's what's coming.
I am glad that everybody was prepared to try and protect this woman.
Yeah.
I'm glad that for the most part, it seems to have not gone terribly for her.
I'll tell you what, it's very interesting because the HBO series is now its own cultural artifact.
It is.
It's its own thing that belongs to mainstream culture, whether you have played video games or care about the video game or not.
Well,
and what's interesting and important about that is while there will be backlash, there are always backlash to characters like that, but I don't think it will be as intense from a general media perspective as it is from a gaming audience perspective.
Because here's my hot take. Gaming audience is more toxic.
Yeah.
The gaming audience, it just is.
It absolutely is.
That is a fact. And people who engage with the gaming community don't want to hear that. And I know we are part of this community and we love many aspects of it. But communities surrounding games are always more toxic. There is a vile, unchecked toxicity in video game fandoms. There is unlike many other things.
Well, and there is a huge portion of alt-right politics that has staked their claim to a huge segment of the video game audience.
Absolutely.
And uses it to brigade for their own issues that really are mostly irrelevant.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it continually comes back to that such a large portion of the video gaming community fucking hates women. And, you know, it's very apparent in what they criticized Abby for, right? So with that, I'm glad that this is better. I'm sad that that was so bad for Laura Bailey, for everybody involved in it. And you know that like terrible dudes really do love to like claim their stake on like survivalist media too.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. They would never survive one day.
I would.
Because of the way evolution works with upper body strength. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay, man.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, okay.
Critter Nation says, I thought we were calling it passion. Only up to a point. I only use the code word up to a point. When teenagers are like, don't change the robot chicken, it's my favorite.
Yeah.
How dare you change?
That's passion.
That's passion.
That's passion, right? It's already a little weird.
Adult men
harassing women
for simply being women.
Yeah, not passion. They were mad that she had muscles. It was the same thing. It's like I always bring it back to the way people reacted to Aloy's peach fuzz.
Yeah, Aloy's face hairs.
Yeah, we have to like it is such a distilled and pure insight into what the most toxic part of gaming dudes are, and it is Aloy's peach fuzz. It's why does she have a beard?
The toxic gaming and like teenage incel community.
Yeah.
My favorite thing that they ever came up with was take a girl swimming on the first date so you see what she really looks like. And I'm like, hey, are you telling me you don't understand what makeup is?
Yeah.
Are you telling me that you feel like you need to trick someone into understanding what they look like without makeup? It doesn't occur to you?
Here's the thing.
It doesn't. Okay.
All of that makes sense when you remember they've never been that close to a woman.
Never.
So like, yeah, they can't tell the difference because they've never been that close to a woman. They've never been on a date. They've never seen the peach fuzz because no woman is letting them that close to their face.
The thing that it comes down to the most with this is the do you remember at the same time the Aloy with the weird face hairs that don't exist on any woman came out? There was the gentleman who fixed Aloy.
Oh yeah, here I fixed it.
Who yassified Aloy,
Completely
basically.
yassified, yeah. Bold glamored Aloy.
And everybody was like, hire this man. And it really comes from a place of like, well, if I don't find this woman attractive, how can she be a character in media that I enjoy?
Hire this man for an empty cell in a prison.
And it's one of these things where it's the apocalypse.
Yeah.
And this person is out hunting for 14 hours a day.
Yeah.
Where's the rouge?
Yeah.
Where's the rouge? Hey, doesn't this fictional character who goes out hunting and surviving in this world know that I don't like it when lady arms get too muscular?
Yeah.
That's not attractive. Why would they make it unattractive to me?
I will also always come back to James Gunn on Attack of the Show in the early 2000s saying that because he didn't want to fuck Catwoman, and not the early 2000s, like the mid 2010s, because he didn't want to fuck Catwoman in Dark Knight Rises, that they have failed, that she has no value. What is the point of having Catwoman there if he didn't want to fuck her?
First of all, you should want to fuck everybody in Dark Knight Rises. That's.
I actually kind of want to fuck nobody in Dark Knight Rises, but I do have a little bit of hatred for Dark Knight Rises.
I mean, not necessarily their characters.
Yeah, everybody's hot.
They're all hot.
They're all
extremely hot people.
But I also think maybe.
But also, the story wasn't
Jesus
about
Christ,
that.
choke. Oh yeah, everybody's like, what? No, yeah, that's a real clip. Guess what's not on the internet anymore? Most likely. Guess who had to go through the archives?
Was it Was it really the Dark Knight Rises one? I thought it was the Halle Berry one he was making that comment
Nope.
about. Really?
No, it was more recent.
It was,
Isn't that
it was
interesting?
even more recent.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And everybody's like, why don't you like James Gunn? What the hell? That's so weird. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Why are you so hard on James Gunn? Why are you so easy on James Gunn, everybody? He said, I didn't even want to touch myself in the theater because Anne Hathaway wasn't hot enough for him. Bam, 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 bam.
Huh.
Womp womp. Men are disappointing. On to the next thing.
Huh.
Let's talk about a little bit of
Well, since we're sort of talking about DC, sort of. Why don't
yeah, let's talk about this. The game that was my most anticipated game of this year has got its early previews in, and everybody hates it.
Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is a game that really, in a matter of one video clip, went from people's most anticipated game to a game that everybody was terrified of.
Yeah.
There was that.
I was still in though.
I was
still in.
I know. There was that first gameplay clip that really showed how, as a service, Suicide Squad was, how limited the gameplay seemed to be. And you and I both said,
yeah.
you know what? This is early. They're taking feedback on it.
Yeah.
There's time for it to change. And this is just a small vertical slice of a large game. It could be that this game just has a bad vertical slice or a bad preview.
Yeah.
The preview roundups are in. And oh boy, IGN calls it out for being repetitive. It relies heavily on 3 to 4 core moves across all characters, which is something that you could see in that video clip. And we were hoping they just had not polished the different character stuff off. They were saying, however, the core mechanics are not satisfying enough to carry the entire experience. Comicbook.com said the game's movement and traversal mechanics are great, but however, it has weak point indicators, busy and repetitive combat, and general chaos on screen that can be hard to follow. GameSpot says bland mission design. A lot of missions that are not part of the main narrative. A lot of just go fetch your crystals to upgrade your things.
Yeah.
And they're saying that it's probably banking on a lot of repetitive content to keep players around, and they are not sure that it's going to work. GameSpot is one of the only outlets that called out and talked about one of the boss fights against the Justice League, which is one of the points that I think we were all really, really hoping were going to make this thing click. They said that
cool as hell.
They said that the Flash boss fight is disappointing. Eurogamer said that movement is fine, but after Spider-Man 2, it's hard to call any movement that doesn't really put the work in great. And it said that, however, Eurogamer was a little more positive on the game's combat, saying that the mix of melee juggles and shooting are satisfying, particularly when you are able to coordinate between multiple players.
I am just giving up on AAA games.
Honestly,
Right?
Look,
Spider-Man?
Spider-Man was great.
Baldur's Gate 3?
Great. Look, Alan Wake.
Alan Wake, AAA, yeah.
Yeah. Look, nothing should cost $400 million. No. I'm not saying Suicide Squad does, but talking about the current state of AAA games. Every AAA game is on a 4-year cycle. You've got multiple teams in a studio working on staggered 4-year cycles, and every one of these games costs upwards of $200 to $300 million.
Yeah.
They're all more expensive than the most expensive Hollywood films.
Yep.
And there is just no way that is sustainable. There's no way that can be entertaining over a long term.
Yeah.
And there's no way it can continue to be profitable.
Look at the games people said in chat. Resident Evil 4 and Final Fantasy 7. Although you're getting new versions of those games, those aren't new games and they can't count. And I understand there's AAA work being put into them and they are wonderful. And don't get me wrong, this is nothing negative about those games.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about like the current state of AAA games, we have to talk about current AAA games that are new games being made and not remakes of games. You can't count remakes.
Yeah, I would say that FF7 remake gets a little bit of an asterisk there because of how different it truly is from the original game.
Even then, if you're like pulling from something that people love, you have such a base to go off of.
Yeah, it's a sequel. You can just call it a sequel, part of the franchise.
Yeah,
you know,
which like I don't know, and like a lot of people are also referencing Nintendo. Personally, Nintendo sits in a different space than a lot of AAA games.
Budgets and team spaces, I mean,
are very different.
They're smaller. I'm not saying that they make small games. I mean, Tears of the Kingdom obviously took an incredibly long time.
Yeah.
But their teams are nowhere near the thousands of people that are working across multiple studios
on something like Suicide Squad.
Western AAA games have in their production now.
I do put that in a different category, but I also always want to acknowledge that I am so biased towards Nintendo. So like when we talk about these things, I'm like, well, Nintendo doesn't count. That's because they can do no wrong in my eyes.
Well, but also when we're talking about just in terms of
there
money,
is an actual difference.
Actual money and numbers of people.
Yeah.
And turnaround times, Nintendo is different. But Nintendo is known for running their entire business on different metrics.
It is.
But, you know, when we talk about these AAA games, we are talking about things like Cyberpunk, which is, do you buy a AAA game and wait 3 years for it to be finally good or finally what you wanted it to be? We talk about things like Starfield, right, which are under development for 10 years and come out and they are mediocre.
Avengers.
We're in a position now. Avengers. We're in a position now when you either have these games that can come out and not be worth the hype of 5 to 10 years and $500 million. And so how can they possibly make their money back? How can anything that costs $500 million make its money back? Or you have these games that come out and they're like, well, if we want to skirt that and avoid it, we have to put in all of these micropayments. We have to put in all these ways to just continually be making money. Otherwise, the game can't make the return we need it to.
Right.
We're in a place right now also where if either of those strategies fail, one game can take out an entire studio.
And they're going to.
And they have. They have over the last couple years.
Yeah.
This is just, it's not a sustainable way to make anything.
No, it's affecting quality. It's affecting people's ability to take interesting risks with games. It's not good for any part of, it's not good for the consumer. It's not good for the workers.
If you look at it as an accelerated, the closest medium and the closest industry, I think is, you know, obviously the movie industry. And when you look at games on being on an accelerated timeline of the film industry, games are catching up to movies now in that sort of like, well, if you're going to be in a theater, you better be a movie that's going to make $1 billion.
Yeah.
There is no room for mid-budget or low-budget film in the theater unless it's particular art house, award bait, you know, that sort of thing. We're getting there with games where the amount of new quote unquote IPs, the fact that I hate that audience says IPs. I hate that we say intellectual property.
That's become like a normal term that everybody uses.
New characters, new stories, new ideas in games are now such an expensive and time-intensive risk.
Right. Yeah.
Why would anybody take them?
Yeah.
If you're going to crash $1 billion company by taking one risk, why would you?
Yeah.
And that's why I just think AAA is it's a tough place to be. It's a tough place to get excited about in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the bottom and middle, just like in the movie industry, are being bought out and eaten away at by honestly by things like Microsoft doing Game Pass and being
Monopoly
it's like, look, if you want to make an indie game, the only way you're going to sell units is if you put it on Game Pass. But once everybody's putting all their games on Game Pass and Microsoft turns off the money machine and everybody's making no money for their Game Pass plays and downloads, what happens to small and medium-sized games then?
Yeah.
It's a really weird thing. And so when you look at the Suicide Squad, you're looking at, I think, a company that said, if we're going to make this and we're going to make it as big as it can be, there's no way to do it without making it a game as a service.
Yeah.
There's no way to do it. We have to make sure that there's money coming in every day. Because if there isn't, there's no way we can make back our costs on this. And that's a terrible place to be because this could have been a fun couch co-op play as
Yeah.
the Suicide Squad game.
And I wanted it to be so badly. I wanted it to reverse kind of like Spider-Man, and I wanted to team shooter a little like Overwatch.
Yeah.
You know, like this. I'm not kidding. I really do mean this has been my most anticipated game since it was announced in AAA. I have indie games that I look forward to more. I do prefer most of the time indie games or like AA games. But like in theory, this could have been my favorite game.
Yeah.
As somebody who no longer plays Blizzard games but was a huge Overwatch fan and loves a team-based game where like everybody has their different specialties, everybody has their different strategies.
Me as King Shark and Harley, and I throw somebody up in the air, and there you are flying through the sky with your mallet. And I'm sure there will still be team up moves like that and things, but
I don't know.
It sounds like it's not going to have the sort of team synergy and unique character combat that we wanted.
It is not.
It feels like honestly, it feels like even though it was a different team, it feels like it's going to be another Gotham Knights. It feels like it's Gotham Knights online.
I agree.
It feels like it's World of Gotham Knights.
Yeah. You know, it's also doing the same thing with the early complaints of Avengers before they made Avengers better.
Yeah.
You know. In things that do have some very original pieces of content to it and a lot of stolen content, Pal World is coming to Game Pass next week.
I'm so hyped.
Don't play Pal World.
I'm going to play Pal World on Game Pass.
I think it's weird as shit.
It's Pokemon
And-
with guns. This is the one that we've been talking where you catch the Pokemon and you put them to work making rifles for you.
Look, we'll check it out on Game Pass. We already paid for Game Pass. Okay.
Of course I'm going to play it. I think you can probably eat the Pokemon in it, but they
Look.
haven't confirmed yet.
Look, I hate it, and I'll probably check it out on stream once.
I hate it, and I'm going to make you play it with me co-op.
I'm going to check it out on stream once.
It's going to be, we are going to capture all of the adorable electric Pokemon and make them provide power to our labor camps.
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
Yeah. So it'll be on Game Pass next week. That's terrible. One last piece of gaming news before we get into the last thing that I want to talk about.
Yeah.
That is not a correct link in here for that. But Marvel Snap was in jeopardy.
Yes. TikTok, what's ByteDance?
On the clock.
ByteDance, who is TikTok's parent company, has decided to get out of games. You probably, most people didn't even know they were in games. But they were. And one of the games that they bankrolled was Marvel Snap. And Marvel Snap made a statement saying, don't worry.
Yeah.
We're not going away. We're going to be fine. We're even going to be better than ever. And everybody said, okay, Marvel Snap.
Yeah.
All right, buddy, if you say so. But it sounds like money. Go bye-bye. But no, Marvel Snap has gotten Series B funding.
Fundy.
They got the little fundy
Got a
mundy.
little bit of fundy.
Second Dinner, the studio behind Marvel Snap, has raised $100 million in Series B funding that they are not just going to use to keep Marvel Snap going, but they say they are also going to use to develop a couple more games concurrently.
At least. I also heard that by the last few months of Marvel Snap, it has been like insufferable of pay to win and microtransactions. That it was fun in the beginning, not that it didn't have microtransactions, it always did, but that it had become a little bit insufferable.
It was definitely
its last
getting
few months.
Yeah, it was definitely getting to the point where you needed to do the season pass to get the cards that were part of the new meta. And if you didn't get the cards that were part of the new meta, you weren't going to win anything.
Yeah,
and
so it wasn't really worth playing.
Yeah, it became a little less fun.
Which is what I run into with a lot of mobile games.
But hopefully, with Second Dinner operating independently now,
Maybe they can scale it back to
yeah.
the game originally.
like I've talked to some of the devs at Second Dinner. We've had discussions about the game, and they really do want it to be a free-to-play game where you don't feel like you've got to spend a ton of money. They're like, listen, we obviously have to keep the lights on, but we don't want it to feel like you can't have fun and play the game. They're all like hardcore poker players, which you can tell if you play the game. Like they're game developers who love card games. And if you play Marvel Snap, you can tell that it's about like setting up the flush
Yeah.
or setting up the waterfall.
But it also, both of those things are about gambling.
They are about gambling.
Both of those things are about gambling.
But I know a lot of game devs I know a lot of game devs that are just into poker because they're just into card games and they're into board games and stuff like that. I know just as many game devs that are into poker as I do that are into chess, you know? But I'm hoping that
one more than the other.
Sure. But I'm hoping that when they are independent, they will be able to pull back on some of that aggressive monetization.
Yeah.
And be able to make the game a little more fun for everyone again.
Yeah. Okay. We don't have a lot of time, but I do want to talk about this last thing that I put in here because of all of the things that were announced at CES. I mean, obviously one of the coolest was that like transparent screen that was really fucking neat. That looked amazing, and all of these wonderful things that I guarantee have been all over your feed.
Yeah.
But there were 2 pieces of car news, and there's always some weird car shit at CES. I say as somebody who has no enjoyment or interest in cars.
Yeah, like when I see cool things at CES about cars, it's usually like that car that can change color because it's made of e-ink.
Never happen.
Yeah.
They never happen.
No.
And there is a fun in CES's like speculative technology and like prototype technology.
By the way, if you haven't seen that clear screen, Josh, pull it up on my
But showing
thing.
it against a wall doesn't really do anything.
I mean, no, but they're... I mean,
that just looks like a TV, though.
This is the closest one that I could find.
Yeah. It's a completely clear
But you can tell
screen.
that if you're in the room, you can tell it looks like the little blobby man is walking on your shelf.
Yeah.
It's like he's really there.
But...
Okay, I get fuck it, whatever, I guess.
Yeah.
Whatever, I guess, Saige.
Yeah.
Okay.
I told you so what we were talking about.
I know, just fine. I guess.
I started a story.
No, I know.
We're derailing.
No.
Come back.
I was just showing people the thing, and you were like, "Fuck that thing." I guess.
Come on back.
I guess you're not into the thing. I think it's cool.
They saw the thing.
I think it's cool.
To the story at hand, BMW has joined Tesla in putting video games in the center console of your car,
Okay.
which is concerning. Now they have some things of like, you can't do it while you're driving. Hey, guess what? Everyone jailbreaks it. Uh-oh. But that's not
I
the
don't
big
think
thing I
anybody's
wanna talk about.
jailbroken the Tesla thing.
I'm pretty sure they have.
Have they? To
I'm
make it play
pretty
games
sure.
while you're driving?
I'm pretty sure there are people who have.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it seems I haven't heard about it. It could have happened.
I've heard about it.
Have you?
Yeah. So, and BMW's doing it now where you can play the equivalent of mobile games essentially on your car. And that's fine. And that's like a mixed bag. But I feel like Sony was like, we could take that one step further. What if you controlled your entire car from a PlayStation controller?
Oh, yeah.
Now, did we learn nothing from the submarine?
Or I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Literally any of the driving games that exist where, look, I don't care how good you are at Gran Turismo or at GTA. You've never not hit the side of a road.
Correct.
You've never not hit a guardrail.
So this car was literally driven onto the stage with a DualSense controller. And you can control this real prototype car with a literal PlayStation controller.
I love it. I hope that they may let you control it through the DualSense and the 6-axis. So you don't just use the analog stick. You got to control it like you're playing Mario Kart with motion controls.
Yeah. So I think that Kotaku
Accurate.
puts this well. It says the website for it reads like a projectile vomit of thousands of corporate executives saying things, and I promise this is real, like a feel of powers, unparalleled intelligence, remembering, communicating, protecting, and inspiring people. What did you even just say?
No, I
What
know
does that
all of those
mean?
words. I think they just activated a sleeper agent in the audience at CES.
So this
Somewhere
is
the Winter Soldier is about to like strangle somebody.
So this is a prototype car that has the ability to use Unreal Engine driven AR on its dash screens.
Now that's
to make
cool.
it look like there are also things like you can play video games while driving it too.
That's not cool.
That's terrifying. So it looks like there's monsters in the street.
And you
Do
swerve.
you see this?
Yeah, and you swerve out of the way of the monsters on the street.
Yeah. What's very funny is in this photo, actually, if you can pull up my screen, Josh, that actually looks like I think there's a cop car in front of you, which in this scenario, then you've
automatically-
turned into a like a kaiju.
It automatically turns all law enforcement into monsters that are out to get you. Because
Well,
I would love
actually, the government did that.
right. But now it has a visual representation of that.
Yeah.
Great. I love that. There was one that I saw a few years ago that that was a GPS that on the way of like if you were going in the right direction, there were like coins in the road, like Mario Kart.
Yeah.
So it was just in your lane. It was just to let you know you were going the right way.
Yeah.
There was no reason to swerve or do anything differently. It was just, you're going the right way. And you're picking up power-ups as you do it.
Totally cute. Totally
Yeah.
fine. I'm fine with that. This, on the other hand, is terrifying. Now, mind you, this is not a car that's coming to your road anytime soon. And I don't anticipate most likely ever. But I have to wonder because, you know, how much money is funneled into these kinds of projects to make this kind of thing. Why?
If I was to guess why, if we were really to honestly guess why, I would imagine that it's like literally Sony trying to use AI and AR technologies and different remote and assistive driving technologies, and see how they work and see how they can put their tech into cars. Because everybody's trying to sell future car tech. NVIDIA is very big into future car tech now. I can't wait. I mean, there are two parts of car that I'm waiting for, and one of them completely negates the other. But the first one I'm waiting for is the full heads-up display AR in your car, where it literally is the GPS screen on my screen. And I can see everything, and it highlights the correct lane and all that stuff in real time.
Wonderful.
Love that. The second thing I'm waiting for is, of course,
Functional self-driving?
complete self-driving, which negates the need for that first one at all.
Yeah.
All I want to do is just, I mean, really what I want is public transit, but really
Because that's what I was
want-
going to say. I was like, I feel that way, but also I would just rather be on public transit. I think cars are not going anywhere, and there's going to be an option for cars.
No.
But
Cars are going places. That's what they do.
Sometimes.
Yeah, they
work right.
Cargo.
Yeah, sometimes. My car don't always go. Your car don't always go.
My car don't always go.
But in theory, I would actually really just prefer everyone doesn't need their own car.
No,
Everyone doesn't need their own car.
I don't want to need.
I want a
car.
walkable city and a public transit.
I don't want to have
system
my
that
own
is
car.
safe and functional and efficient and affordable. But you know, I guess we can also make a car that can drive with a PlayStation controller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's fun and it's cool to think about that sort of stuff. By the way, I did look it up. There is no jailbreak for a Tesla that lets you play games.
I think that might have
I think
gotten rid of it, but
I
they
think the
had.
headline that you're thinking of is initially if you turned on full self-driving, Tesla would let you play a game in the car, and they had to disable that. That's probably the headline that you're remembering, because there was no regulation about it, and they were like, "You can self-drive now. Why don't you play a game?" And then the federal safety was like,
self-driving is not good enough.
"No,
for
it's
that.
not good enough to do it."
So, I'm curious to see if there's anything else that you have enjoyed from CES this week. Let us know.
I did like the clear screen. Is the thing that made me the happiest.
Yeah.
They had one that was running like a fish tank.
I saw. Yeah.
You know, there's nothing I love more than a fake fish tank,
It's very neat.
like a video game fish tank.
Yeah.
Like a fishing game that has an aquarium mode.
I mean, that kind of glass as like the glass for your car being the thing that shows you all the stuff on the road could be very cool.
Or my windows.
Yeah. Just your windows in your home.
So cool.
Yeah.
So cool.
Everybody also expressed their concern immediately for it becoming just ad city, just the ability to
that's
put
all
ads
it's gonna
any
be.
and everywhere, which is going to be the case.
They showed off two this year. One was by Samsung and one was by LG. The Samsung one has no release date, has no price, and it's clearly just to sell to businesses to advertise to you on every surface in your life.
Yeah, like your front window of your store, now an advertisement.
The
in a different
LG
way.
was just a 4K TV that they're planning on releasing to consumers this year.
Yeah.
So they want you to have that one in your home.
It was also unfathomably expensive.
Oh, yeah,
So like
no.
nobody's gonna have that.
By
in their
your home, I
realistically.
mean the royal your, because it's certainly not any
literally
of us.
royal
Yeah.
people only.
But
So
yeah, if you've seen anything, let us know, because we love a technology.
most certainly. All right, everybody, that is all the show that we have time for today. We are going to go through and we're going to thank everyone that supported us during the show today, but there's a lot of ways that you can do that. You can do so for free by just showing up and watching. You can do that here on Twitch. You can do it on YouTube. You can listen on podcasts, on Spotify, or on our Patreon, even for free. It's available to all patrons if you don't have Spotify, because it's not on Apple Podcasts yet. But you can also get other things, like a bonus clip. We did 16 minutes of us giggling on Monday that you can check out on the Patreon, starting at $5 a month. You can do a free trial or sign up for a year to save some money. It's very cool of you. You can join the Discord for free. You can tell people about the show for free.
Yeah.
You know, follow your own path.
Scream our names out into the street. and let people know.
That's free.
That's free.
Anthony, when you're not here, where are you?
You can find me everywhere at Carboni, but except on Twitch, where I'm at Anthony Carboni. And check out my podcast, We Have Concerns. It's at wehaveconcerns.com, and it's fun, and it's about science.
You can find me everywhere on the internet at Not Saige. I stream on my channel Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. All right, everybody.
Josh,
First?
what's up with you?
Hi, I live here too sometimes.
Don't look at us.
I'm gonna look at you. I talk. You guys can find me everywhere on the internet at Spider Josh, Spider with a Y _ Josh, and you can see me break things on Twitch soon as I get everything working.
Welcome back, Josh.
Welcome back.